Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alexis, Growth Marketing Manager at For Impact Data, a client retention and growth system built for CPA firms. Today, we're talking about how your CAS practice is leaving revenue on the table. Let us know if you have any questions in the Q&A chat, and after the webinar, we'll send you an email with the link to where the recording will be hosted. And make sure to connect with us on LinkedIn if you haven't already. With that said, I'll pass this over to Elizabeth.
Hi, all. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to talk about how to target growth within your firm. We'll be walking through the newest version of For Impact Data, which is yet to be released, coming in the next 2 weeks. Their pieces are available currently. Lori, Amanda, let's talk afterwards. Shout out to those of you on the call who have been longtime listeners to our Kicking CAS series. We appreciate you turning in today for this session, specifically for the BDO Alliance. I'm Elizabeth Davis, Chief Growth Officer at For Impact Data, recovering accountant, growth leader. We'll say extraordinaire today because I'm feeling cheeky. All right. So in CAS practices, a lot of times we have this urgency and sense of putting out fires. We just need to remember that busy is not the same thing as growing. I talk to a lot of leaders who feel like they are maxed out at their capacity. They don't have the time to do the value add, the work that is moving beyond compliance, the work that gives more value to your clients, and that is the advisory. So the opportunity is already there. You just need to free up the capacity and be able to see the forest through the trees. So that's what we are going to talk about today, how we can help you do that with For Impact Data. And it's not a data problem, it's the view. Occasionally it is a data problem. If you're doing quarterly books for your clients. But more dashboards won't fix this. More client meetings won't either. It's really how you visualize the information to see those client opportunities for growth, to partner with them, to look at more than a point in time, to see what are the trends in my book of business, how can we help our clients, where is the unforeseen risk. Every time I talk to a firm, they always tell me about, occasionally we do get that call where the owner of the business asks, like, hey, why didn't you tell me I had a cash flow problem? So For Impact Data helps you surface that, and also can help you prioritize reaching out to your highest risk clients first. And it will help with your retention so you can have those proactive conversations before you get the nasty gram. So there's signals hiding in your client base, your clients that are ready to expand. So it might be, again, they're smaller revenue clients, but they are growing. Their revenue is increasing on a regular basis. They have an appetite for additional services. They just need that conversation. The risk that is there. So these could be cash flow stressors. These could be, we're having some liquidity problems, and then also overdue for outreach. So we're making sure that we stay in touch with our clients on a regular basis and have a reason to have the conversation. What is the value we can add? And what you'll see today, what we're going to be looking at is being able to visualize a full portfolio view of your live client financial health across your entire QBO book of business. Again, we can also connect to Xero, Sage Intacct, NetSuite. If it's online, we can connect to it. Looking at those expansion signals, we can have, we show you the indicators that tell you what projects a client is in need of, how to reach out. We've got some playbooks built into the software, and then helping you prioritize without adding additional analysts. It's built right into the technology. So how do we do this? We connect to your online books, 12, 24, 36 months of balance sheet income statements to your online QBO. It's pretty easy to get that set up. We monitor liquidity, sales activity, debt to equity, profitability ratios, and we prioritize the client health across those trends. We help you know where to start, which client needs attention now, which ones are ready to expand, which ones are at risk that I may not have noticed or didn't realize how bad things are with them. This happens a lot when I'm talking to firms. It's like, okay, we do the taxes for this client, we do the bookkeeping, but they're not really paying for any of the advisory. And some of these signals, again, we're not doing trending reporting, they fall through the cracks. So For Impact Data helps surface that so you can have a proactive conversation to turn it around, improve your client's business health, and improve the relationship with your client so that they're not going to get that advice somewhere else, from a chat GPT, from their neighbor, from an advisory firm. Anyone can call themselves an advisor. You, as the CPA firms, are in a much better position to help them work through their challenges. So it's not about more dashboards. It's about having the tools to see the trends, see the analytics in a way that you can be proactive and reach out. I just did a conversation this morning with another education group. They were talking about the confidence gap. That's another thing too, is we have the scripts built into our software now to help to bridge that gap, to help lead you in the conversation. So what that means for your practice is more revenue, advisory revenue per client, consistent service delivery. This is a challenge that I see with some of the firms I work with. They have some, it might be some CAS managers or some service lines that are really good at having the proactive conversation, and then others that aren't as much. So we provide that layer to have consistency across the board, and then growth without having to have one hero advisor. One advisor can only service so many clients without the tools. So helping upskill your staff that's not quite there yet. If you're curious, who is this designed for? Firms with 20 plus active QBO clients, an active CAS practice, and ones that are ready to stop leaving revenue behind. You'd be surprised how many times I talk to firms and they're not concerned about growing their CAS practice. And I'm like, what? It doesn't make any sense to me. But you'd be surprised. I do hear that. So with that, if you feel like your firm is aligned on growing your CAS practice, finding that uncapped advisor revenue, and having deeper conversations with your clients, stay tuned. I'm going to stop sharing my slides and show a demo of the new and improved unreleased version of For Impact Data. Again, if you're a client already on the call, let's have a conversation. We can do it later today, and I can talk to you about how we can get this for you right away. So with the 4ID Foresight, we've broken our technology into two main points, and that's the portfolio monitoring, where you can work with your portfolio to dig into more details, and then the opportunity mapping. And this is where we have the clustering of clients by like types. I'm going to start with the portfolio monitoring to show you a quick overview of that. And then I'm going to dig into the opportunity mapping, since we're really talking about finding that untapped revenue. So on the portfolio monitoring side, this is the traditional version of For Impact Data. If you've seen any demo of ours, you have seen this before. We have the ability to cluster multiple clients and do a roll-up. If you have multi-entity, you can even do this if they're on different systems. If you have a client who has version or different entities on NetSuite, Xero, and Sage Intacct, you can see all of those rolled up into one place. For this session, I'm going to focus on Dunder Mifflin, and then again, we see the profitability, solvency, liquidity, sales activity, and debt to equity ratio down here at the bottom. We see how things are trending. If I have any questions about the numbers, I can go to our warp speed here and find out a little bit more about how the calculations are created, how they're weighted, and learn more. You go back to the screen again, and if I wanted to see all of my clients that are red, I just click in and I can see that there. So I'm going to click out and I'm going to go over to my health overview. And this is where that prioritization comes in that I mentioned earlier. If I want to see where my clients are that are at the greatest risk, I can sort by that, which I've already done. I can see, okay, these guys here either we have not processed their information and that's why it's looking so bad, perhaps that does happen, or they're in some serious trouble. So I need to figure out what's going on with the Umbrella Corp or Oceanic Airlines, dig in and have a conversation there because they're not going to be able to pay us, or there's something else going on. Now, if I want to prepare for my client review conversation, this is again where we talk about the multiplier effect for our staff that's already in place. We need to give them the tools to get to the conversation faster. I can see here my Dunder Mifflin. I have my profitability, solvency, liquidity, sales activity, debt to equity. I've got the actuals, and then I have my goal metrics. But then I also have my monthly trends. And is that a high risk or a low risk item? The high risk items, if I have staff that I'm upskilling, it's like see something, say something. If you're a supervisor, raise your hand, have a conversation with the manager, have them tag you along to talk to the client. And then we've put them into a personality playbook, which for this one is a workhorse. So I hop over and it's going to ask me to log in. Hooray. And I can see my playbook here for the workhorse. So there's 32 different business personalities or archetypes, and they all have key things in common. For Dunder Mifflin, they have operational activity that continues, but profit and sales performance are weakening. Busyness can feel like health, even when the revenue quality and profit are declining. So they're working harder, less money. And the business can, their less economic value is being produced. So we have the signals here. And then we have the project plans that we can put in place to improve those odds. So that would be our revenue pipeline and sales conversion. And we've built out a 12-week engagement that you can undertake with them. A lot of information in here as far as engagement goals, scope of services, project governance, and engagement roadmaps. So we've got phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for this. And then what are our success metrics? Because that's really important. Like, what are we all working for together? All right. So going back to that playbook, we have the revenue pipeline conversion, the revenue margin analysis, and operating. So there's project plans for all of these, but there's also validation questions to make sure we can meet with our clients to get aligned on, indeed, these are the challenges they are having. So our sales softer and less reliable, we can check yes. Our margins or pricing decision making, less profitable. Does my team feel like they're grinding away and not getting ahead? There's an explanation behind this for all of this client ready narrative. You can download it in a Word or a PDF, talk you through it, suggested next steps, consequences for not acting, recommendations. Again, those are the project plans that we have pulled together, and then the close. So based on this, these are our next steps, the key signals, and the recommended work paths forward, all built within the technology. So that's if I want to have that deeper conversation and I'm preparing for a meeting with my client. Also, if I want to see some additional trends, I have my financial insights here. which I can sort on current month, trailing 12 months, and year to date. My revenue and profits with some nice graphics. And again, For Impact Data is not an FP&A tool, but we do provide some metrics since we are connected to all of them that you can look at with current, trailing 12 months, and year to date. And then also cash. Alexis, do we have any questions online before I move on to the personality profiles?
No, we don't have any questions.
Okay. So I'm going to hop over to the personality profile clustering. And this is where you have that real growth opportunity. We can do the clustering, especially if you bring in a larger portfolio of your clients. A lot of the firms I'm working with are actively targeting their tax clients to grow into CAS and advisory clients. So here we can see I've got all of my clients in one location, and I can group them by what are those workhorses, the ones just like the Dunder Mifflin. It's my largest cohort. 22% of my clients fall into this group. So I can have scripts to have conversations with them for repeatability and scale here. Again, and then I've got my project plans down here to help build those out so I'm prepared for the conversation. We move on to our demographics. And this is one where we can see, when we're building out our niche focus or building out our pricing and packaging, a lot of the firms I work with don't have a clear view of what verticals their clients are in or the annual revenue. So if you're putting together service packages for a large number of, 15 million annual revenue clients, that's going to look a lot different than if the vast majority of your clients fall in this 1 to 5 million or sub $1 million range. You need different pricing packages to be prepared for those. So I can click in and see my $10 million plus revenue clients are heavily in manufacturing. Probably want to have some focus on this, have some specialization. Maybe I'm going to make sure I have someone who can talk a lot about inventory or transportation, whatever that is that fits into this niche. You can see transportation as well, 1 to 5 million, and then heavily in the professional services. 32% of my clients fall in professional services. Probably look in and find additional niche there, whether it's architecture or maybe it's other CPA firms.
Elizabeth, I'm going to bring up a popular question that we got whenever we were at AICPA Engage is people were asking what size firms do we typically service with For Impact Data? Is it best fit for larger, like medium, or smaller size?
That's a really interesting question. So we have firms that we work with that are as small as 20 clients. That was one of the slides that I had up in there. Like, who do we work with? We make sure you have like 20 active CAS clients. I have one firm, it's 3 people. They service 20 clients. And then we have, top 20, 25 firms that we work with as well. So it goes across the gamut. The vast majority of our clients fall within the mid-sized firm range.
Okay, another question that we get is, or maybe not a question, but a talking point that people talk about a lot is targeting within your current client base. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. So, that is where the growth mapping comes in. So these are all existing clients because we can't connect to data that you don't have access to. A lot of firms have, maybe they have 60 clients in their CAS practice that they're providing services for, but they have 2,000 clients that they have access to their books, their bookkeeping for, that are tax clients. That is a lot of potential revenue potential reoccurring revenue, value add beyond doing just their taxes. So there's a lot of growth and potential there. And while firms usually start with a smaller cohort, maybe they add 50 clients into For Impact Data, you have a real multiplier effect when you bring in a larger set of your books. And you can see exactly here what I'm showing is where's my clustering in those different types of clients? Do I have my biggest project that reoccurs within my client base is this operational expense management. This happens to be one that is a really popular service. If anyone was at Scaling New Heights this last week, they talk about this expense management, cost reduction, doing vendor analysis. These sorts of things fall into operating expense management. And so this is, you could say, okay, yeah, in fact, I have a large number of my clients. Only one is that in the primary need, but secondary and tertiary projects that my clients, in fact, need this. So it might be potentially this is a new service in our CAS practice, or we've done it ad hoc. We haven't officially had it. So we probably should put some energy into making sure that we have staff upskilled to provide it and that we could add it to a potential higher tier service package is, we'll look at doing expense management for you twice a year when you're at this value pricing package where we're targeting 3% of your annual revenue on a reoccurring basis for CAS. That's going to provide a lot more revenue for your firm beyond just offering those tax services once a year. Okay. So again, that's where this multiplier effect comes in. And then also with the storytelling. So if you happen to know that you're exceptionally good, or you have a really great story where you helped a client with their cash flow and liquidity analysis, who doesn't want help with their cash flow and liquidity analysis? Lots of clients do. So you can have that story, you can turn it into a case study. I'm a really big believer in telling your success stories to your clients over and over and over again. So we have that repeatable story we can tell, and then we can target, maybe I ran a project with Adobe, turn things around for them, and then I can target the rest of my clients that also could benefit from that with a story and telling the same thing. Maybe we leave the name off the client, or maybe they're taking reference calls for us. And so we can target all of these other clients that could also benefit from it and say like, hey, we help them with this problem, because that's what we are as accountants, is we're really big helpers. We're always wanting to add value. Hopefully, again, moving beyond the compliance, adding value in advisory. You could say all of these other clients could use that same service, would greatly benefit from. And what is the cost of not calling? Well, they've got some liquidity challenges. It could be that they're not going to have the money to keep the lights on. They're not going to be able to buy the equipment they need. Maybe those have challenges with payroll. So we can really help with them by telling the story repeatable. That's the easiest way to sell. And then help them out that way. And again, like identifying other potential opportunities here, revenue recognition and billing, just the additional projects. I always say, big rocks, little rocks. Where are my big rocks? So it's operating expense management in this particular portfolio of clients, revenue pipeline and sales conversion, margin, and then cash flow and liquidity analysis. And it's really interesting how just doing a quick scan, even starting with 5 or 10 clients, what we can surface this version of For Impact Data. All right, any other questions?
No, we don't have any specific questions in the chat, but I did want to ask, maybe you can tell a story about what we've seen, like a success story with For Impact Data. We've worked with.
Yep, sure. So one of our clients we worked with, Travis, I think we have a Travis on the call. Travis with Creative Planning, who is a CFO. He uses For Impact Data to get to those advisory conversations. Now he has a whole team that reports up into him. So he has about 50 clients that roll up to him. So you can imagine his view is, so if we talk about what his view looks like of for impact data, it looks something like this, and he has to do a bit of a scroll through. So having that multiplier effect of being able to see the health of his clients in one location, quickly dig into what are the challenges that they're having and being proactive in his conversation. So he can move from a quarterly conversation to a monthly conversation if he needs to, and say, we need to turn some things around. There's a dip in your sales activity or liquidity. We can take out a line of cash. But he told us about this one dental practice. It's a story I love. He had a dental practice that was short staffed. They didn't have dentists. They had a Malibu office that was $50,000 a month in rent. And of course, it's those Hollywood veneers, I'm sure. But working with his client to make sure they took out a line of credit before they ran out of cash, because that's what he told them. He was like, oh, look, with for impact data, he was like, we could see, oh, we only had 4 months of cash left. And like, it's 3 months. It was like, okay, let's help you find a dentist to fill in at that office so that it's producing money. And then also make sure we take out a line of credit before it's a problem so that we can keep the lights on. And, he was like, this is something that he was like, it would have been a huge loss for our business if we hadn't have seen what was going on as quickly to see like, oh man, we're winding down on our cash flow really quickly. So that's one story that we heard. Another one, I had one of our clients, an advisor was working with one of the owners of their business, and they had multiple entities. We actually are, they're your QBO client, and we're breaking out their classes as different entities. Not a best practice, but that's what we're doing for them. And what they're able to see is they have like a nephew that's running one of their entities. It's a different location. And he's using a lot of AI, and his location, because he's got these different efficiencies and he's very innovative. It's the opposite of what they thought was happening. They thought that this young kid it was kind of like an experiment. They thought this young kid was going to be driving the business down a bit. What they found was because he was innovative and he didn't have all the historical, I don't want to say baggage, but this is the way we've always done it, that was holding him back from having creative ways to run the business. So he actually became more profitable, and the advisor was able to show the owners, and then they became more profitable across all the other entities, franchises, I guess, because they rolled out some of that innovation at other locations. So it was a win for the advisors to identify that, and then a win for the owners and the nephew that was running that one location, because now they're more profitable across the board. The owners bought into some of the AI and the technology innovations that they were very skeptical about. They put in some, I think it was like call answering. There was like AI call answering to book clients in, and a whole bunch of other innovation. And so the business was more profitable. They moved forward with some new technology, and it was a win for everyone. So
that's awesome. It's amazing to see how much visibility that you can get from just any data-backed decisions, or also like with the advance in technology today.
Yeah, but I mean, again, all of these things, they require a human conversation. You can only get so much from the data. Like the one with the dental practice, you could see there's a cash flow problem, but until you find out, like there's no dentist booking business there, or the innovation, you can see that one of the locations is more profitable than all of the others. But again, until you have the conversation, you find out that you've got a young buck who is creative and finding innovative ways to make sure they're running more efficiently. this is why, you know, we still need humans in the loop. AI is not going to replace us. It's augmenting us. It's not all about automation. It's about augmentation. So we can have more of those value add conversations and digging in and finding out what's going on, and then adding in our expertise across our client portfolio. So it's like if you have, again, those niche, you know, if they're tire shops, for example, and you find out that this one tire shop is a lot more profitable because they're allowing for, you know, AI agents to book calls and to schedule appointments, and they have some innovative appointment scheduler things, and it's just making the whole office run more efficiently. We can multiply that across other businesses that look like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody wins.
Yeah, except for the people who answer the phones. All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, this really wraps us up. It's, I don't want to make it seem more simple than it is, but I would love to schedule your one-on-one conversation, talk about how we might be able to apply this to your portfolio. You know, happy to book a quick scan with 5 of your clients to see what we can surface. But it all starts with a 15-minute call. So you can go to the website and book that. Look for our Kicking CAS sessions, additional webinars, or reach out to me personally at edavis@forimpactdata.com. So any other questions, Alexis? Anything you want to add?
Nope, that's it. Thank you guys for joining today.
Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great day. Lori, I'm going to give you a call. Talk soon.